So, hi everyone. I'm Irene. This is my husband Andy. We live in Sebastian, Florida. A couple of years ago, we retired and left New York and came down here to this beautiful little town. And then 3 or 4 months after we got here, COVID kicked in and everything went on lockdown. So now we're retired and kind of stuck in the house, and we looked for some ways to keep ourselves busy and keep our minds interested, and through some suggestions from friends and through watching a lot of YouTube, actually getting ideas, we got into two really wonderful things. We have been raising monarch butterflies, and in the last year and 8 months, we've released over 500 butterflies. And also, we learned how to mosaic, and while we were both kind of artful and crafty, we never had ever done anything along the line of mosaics, and we have really loved learning how to mosaic. So I think what we want to do is kind of just share with you what we've done, and along the way, maybe impart to you how we raise the monarchs and how we mosaic and where we get our ideas from, and show you the things we've created, and just kind of take you along on this, what's been a really wonderful journey for us, and that we hope to continue for a long time.
Yeah, and I would say that if it wasn't for COVID, we probably never would have done either one of these things, raising monarchs. And along with the monarchs, we've also raised some swallowtails and queens and whatever was in the yard. We would pretty much help out, to get to their, to become butterflies, basically. And yeah, this is what we've been doing for the last couple of years. We're both retired. We had our own business in New York. I had a pretty severe accident prior to moving here, so when we got here, I was already laid up for over a year, or around a year, from a head injury in a car accident, and I also had damage to my aorta, and that was replaced. So yeah, we were I was somewhat isolated already by the time we got to Florida, and then the COVID kicked in, and we were looking for something to do. I believe we started doing the monarchs first, was it? And
It was July.
July of 2020.
July of 2000. Well, June we started raising them, and July the first ones hatched.
Right.
So it's not quite 2 years, a year and 7 months or so.
And almost around the same time it was, we started looking on YouTube and observing mosaics. We had this table, this glass table that we were going to throw out. And, I had mentioned it to Irene, wouldn't it be cool if we could do something artistic with it? And we came up with the idea of doing mosaics on the table. And we did a couple of things previous to this large project that was going to be on a glass table. But yeah, that's how we essentially started out. We did a couple small projects, and then we moved to the larger one, which we'll be showing you in the near future. But yeah, this is where we're starting at, and I hope you enjoy this. We've enjoyed it most of the time. There's always, things coming up, especially when you're doing projects together. I want it this way, and she may want it that way, and you know how those things go. But we seem to be able to make it happen, as a team.
We had moved from a suburb outside New York City to the Catskill Mountains in the middle of 5 acres on a mountainside in upstate New York for 20 years. And over that amount of time, we really, really developed a love and appreciation for nature and for animals. And There were some monarchs, but what we did is we cultivated hummingbirds. We had a lot of feeders. By the time we moved, we had 40, 50 hummingbirds coming in the summertime to our porch. We literally got to feed them, with hand feeders and have them land right on our hand, and we'd sit out there a foot away from them, and they would zip all around us. We had all kinds of animals. So we grew to love nature and grew to love animals more every year.
From the time we moved up to...
From the time we moved to the woods. Yeah, it was wonderful.
We lived in Nassau County for quite a few years, and, coming up to Florida, coming up to the Catskill Mountains from Long Island was a pretty drastic change for us, and we...
Keeping a wood stove instead of electric heat, and chopping wood, and...
Yeah, it was quite an adjustment, and we loved it. But we ended up down in Florida, so we tried to, do similar things down here, that would go along with the nature that's occurring in Florida.
And we both were already. I've been crafting, sewing, doing some kind of craft my whole life pretty much, but over the last 10 years or so I learned how to quilt, and that was probably the biggest crafting type activity that I did, and not just starting out with bed quilts for the kids, but then graduating to very elaborate scenic wall quilts that were thin and you could hang them on the wall just like a picture that you painted. And so that was my biggest thing before we left. And then Andy took some pastel drawing classes, and it turns out that, without knowing, that he had a real knack for it and a real eye for color and for sketching. And he has made dozens of pastels, and we have a whole bunch of them hanging around the house, and he's giving them away as gifts. So I have a sewing station set up. He's got a pastel station set up. So we both have been quite artistic and have appreciated the arts for a long time. Before we got here, it was just a question of finding something that would fit into our new location and our new lifestyle that we would enjoy, and something a little different just to keep us from being bored, stuck in the house.
And and Mosaics is something neither one of us have ever done. So that also spurred our imagination to want to do that. And almost all of this different things that we have done, we referred to YouTube, and that's how we learned how to do the Monarchs, and also your friends, that originally did it before us. And also the Mosaics, especially the Mosaics, we referred to YouTube quite a bit. So, yeah, so that's where we stand now. Do you have anything else you want to chitty-chat about?
No, what we'll do in our next video is we'll just show you some of the things that we've already created. You can probably already see some of our Monarch hampers behind us, because it's kind of cold right now. It's chilly for them, so we bring plants in and bring the caterpillars inside so they'll be safe and warm, and then when they hatch we release them. But we'll take you around with a little tour and show you what we've created so far, and then we'll kick in and start some videos that show you how we do what we do. We've just started a new project, and we'll have you go along the way with us as we're creating a new large glass table.